finding the midpoint. Please ignore the date at the top. So we're going to find the midpoint of JK, so I'm going to put this on a number line. Okay, we want to find the midpoint, which is the dead center of this segment. So here's J, and there's K at 8. Okay, so from here to here. So we need to know like how far it is, so we can count, right? We could count and see, taking each one at a time. So we could go here and there, and then from here to there, and so on, until we meet in the middle, right there. So where would we be? We'd be at 2, right? So 2 would be the midpoint. We could also, look what would happen if we add these two numbers together and divide by 2. So it's also like taking the average of the two numbers. You take an average, mean, you add them up, divide by however many you have. Okay, we're going to employ the same strategy here. I've sketched the 2 points, and we want to find the midpoint. Okay, so let's count. Now, on a Cartesian coordinate plane like this, a grid, you can only count left and right or up and down. So let's count on from H to G. So if I count on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 10 away. And I write that over here. So where would the halfway mark be? Let's see, probably 5 away, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right in here. I'll make that a little bit bolder. And then we're going to do the same thing for the up and down movement. So if I count to G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I only want to go halfway, so 4. So 1, 2, 3. So it would be right in here. I have a little trouble with my pen here. And where those two meet up would be where the midpoint would be found. So we're looking for right in here. So this would be our midpoint. Let's name that point. So it would be at 2, -2. We can also use a formula. Let me show you what that is. The formula says that if you take the two x's and add them together, so we'd have x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, and then you do the same with the y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. It would give you the coordinates of the midpoint. So let's try it out. First numbers are x's. And then the second numbers are y's. And then you simplify. Midpoint. Okay, we can also throw a little algebra in there. What's the measure of PR? Put some dots on there. And this should have already been on there, so I apologize. Those are the points. And if Q is the midpoint of our segment, get it in the right spot. There we go. Q is the midpoint. We want to find the measure of PR. We want to know how long the whole thing is. Okay. Oh, I did not know that that was going to do that with my finger. All right. So, midpoint, we got a picture. Step 2, we need to come up with a relationship. We know it's the midpoint. So what does that mean? It means that this segment and this segment are equal. So how far is it from P to Q? We have no idea, right? There's no numbers. But it is the same from Q to R, so we can express P to Q as 6 minus 3x. And now we do the segment addition postulate that says that the two pieces must add up to be the whole. Alright, so check your answer. 1/2 equals x. Now, since this is geometry, we got to make sure we answer the question being asked. What's the measure of PR? We've got to substitute it back in. So we are going to say 14 times 1/2 plus 2 is our PR. So it's 7 plus 2, better known as 9. Only on Tuesdays. I'm going to sketch it out, the points. We got F and E, and we got to find D. So E is the midpoint. So where do you think the other endpoint would happen to be? Would it be here? Would it be up here someplace? Probably like right in here, like if you're estimating. So one thing that we can do is we can do it a couple different ways. The first way is to sketch it. And again, we can kind of utilize that counting amount. Okay, so what I would do is I would count from F to E. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And halfway would be 2. So 1, 2. So it would be like right, no, I'm sorry. It'd be 4. And then if I count over to the right, 1, 2, 3. If I want to find the other endpoint, I could just repeat what I did. So again, I would count. From E, I would count 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And over 3. So there's my point right there. And then I would name it. So D would be at 1, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 5 would be the name of that point. We could have also used the formula. It just depends on how you think. Now I would suggest though, if you are going to use the counting method, that you have graph paper. Trust me, you don't want to miscount. Using the formula, we would say that -2, the midpoint, so the midpoint's like the answer, equals plus the x that we know, so -5 over 2. And then we do the same with the y's. 1 equals y plus a -3 over 2. And then we would solve each one of those individually. So to do that, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 here. So I get -4 equals, these cancel because I undid them. Add 5 to both sides. So there's the 1. See there, it checks out. Here I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. There you go. 5 checks out.